Ancient Egypt is famous for its monuments, its pharaohs, and the fact that it somehow maintained a civilization for over 3,000 years. But underneath the stone and the sand lies something even more revealing: its mythology. Egyptian myths weren't just stories. They were how the Egyptians organised the world. The sunrise, the floods, the seasons, morality, justice, even the afterlife. These stories were their philosophy, their science, and their psychology, all rolled into one. Today we're going to explore a set of myths that shaped one of history's greatest civilizations. Some are dramatic, some are symbolic, and some are extremely unusual. But when you look closely, they reveal how the Egyptians understood power, order, and human nature. Let's begin with the myth that sits at the centre of it all. The story of Osiris isn't just a myth. It's the foundation of Egyptian ideas about kingship, legitimacy, death, and rebirth. Osiris is the archetype of the good ruler, fair, civilizing, and respected. His brother, Seth, represents something very different: disruption, wilderness, unpredictability. He isn't evil in the modern sense, but to Egyptians, he was a personification of chaos interrupting order. The conflict between them begins with one of the oldest motifs in human storytelling: jealousy over power. Seth creates an ornate chest precisely shaped to Osiris's body. He then reveals it at a banquet and challenges anyone to fit inside. When Osiris climbs in, Seth seals it and throws it straight into the Nile. This wasn't just murder, it symbolised the breaking of Mat, the Egyptian principle of balance and order. Isis' response is equally symbolic. She searches endlessly, retrieving Osiris's body and restoring him. Not to rejoin the living though, but to become the ruler of the afterlife. In doing so, she ensures continuity. Life leads to death, death leads to renewal. Their son Horus grows up as the embodiment of rightful succession. His conflict with Seth spans generations. The gods preside over trials, hearings, and negotiations so complex they resemble legal disputes rather than battles. The Egyptians were saying something very clear. Power must be justified, regulated, earned. To the Egyptians, the sun didn't simply rise because the earth turned. It rose because Ra, the sun god, survived another night. Each evening, Ra entered the underworld, aboard his boat, passing through 12 regions symbolising the hours of night. It wasn't peaceful. Every night was a confrontation with Apep, a colossal serpent representing total annihilation. Not evil, but the complete undoing of existence. Apep didn't wage war to take over. He tried to erase the possibility of life. The Egyptians viewed this as a cosmic truth. Order is constantly under threat from entropy, and stability is a result of continuous effort. Priests even perform rituals to assist Ra's journey, reading texts and striking effigies of Apep. Religion to them wasn't passive, it was a collaboration. Defence against disorder. When Ra defeated Apep each night, the sun rose. If he ever failed, the world would end. What sounds like grand mythology is actually a deeply realistic worldview. Civilization survives only because people maintain it, defend it, and rebuild it every single day. Egyptian myths didn't describe a universe as empty space. They described it as relationships. Nut, the sky goddess, is depicted arching over the world, covering it in stars. Geb, the earth god, lies beneath her. They are lovers, who must be held apart by Shu, the god of air, because their closeness prevents creation from unfolding. This myth tells us several things. First, the Egyptians didn't think of creation as a single event. It was a process, continuous, active, requiring separation, space and structure. Second, Nut's pose across the sky wasn't decorative. It represented protection. The sky is a sheltering body, and the idea that the heavens themselves are alive, responsive and unified. Finally, Nut swallowing the sun at night and giving birth to it every morning creates a beautiful metaphor. Death isn't an end but a passage, a cycle, a transformation. The universe wasn't a cold mathematical equation, it was a living system of relationships governed by balance. Modern depictions of Bastet often soften her into a gentle cat goddess, but the evolution of her myth says something important about Egyptian society. In early periods, Bastet was closer to a lioness, fierce, protective, and capable of extreme violence. Over time, as Egyptian society became more urban and stable, her image shifted. She became associated with domesticity, music, joy, and household protection. This transformation wasn't accidental. It shows how the Egyptians gradually redefined power, from physical dominance to social stability, from battlefield protection to home protection. Cats themselves symbolised alertness and guardianship. They kept granaries safe from rodents, protected food supplies, and in the Egyptian mind, protected families from unseen forces. The sacred statues of cats wasn't for a sentimental reason. It was an extension of their worldview. Harmony in the home sustains harmony in the world. Egyptian morality didn't revolve around punishment or fear. It revolved around balance, living in accordance with Mat. When someone died, their heart was weighed against the feather of Mat, the goddess of truth. The heart had to be lighter or equal. If it was heavier, burdened by dishonesty, cruelty, or imbalance, it was devoured by Ammit, ending that person's story entirely. This wasn't a hell narrative. There was no eternal torment. The worst possible outcome was non-existence, the removal from cosmic order. It's a remarkably mature ethical system. No arbitrary divine decree, no open-ended forgiveness, and no second chances through ritual loopholes. You lived well, or you didn't. If you didn't continue. Simple, uncompromising, balanced. The afterlife wasn't a reward, it was a continuation of a life lived in harmony. Our final myth reveals the Egyptians understood something essential about human nature. Even divine power must be restrained. When humanity rebelled against Ra, he sent Sekhmet, a lioness deity representing unstoppable force, to punish them. But Sekhmet didn't stop. Once violence began, she couldn't moderate it. This is the myth's core insight. Violence, once unleashed, escalates beyond intention. To stop her, the gods dyed thousands of jars of beer red and poured them across the fields. Sekhmet drank the beer, believing it was blood, becoming intoxicated and then collapsed. The world was saved not by strength, but by strategy, by recognising that raw power is dangerous and must be redirected, not confronted head on. The myth is playful on the surface, but the message is sophisticated. Restraint, intelligence, and self-awareness sustain civilization, not brute force. Egyptian mythology wasn't meant to be literal or entertaining. It was a blueprint for reality. The gods personified psychological forces, political structures, and natural cycles. The conflicts weren't random. They mirrored the tensions in Egyptian life. Order versus chaos, continuity versus disruption, community versus wilderness. and because these ideas were embedded in stories, they survived for thousands of years, flexible enough to adapt, powerful enough to command belief, and rich enough that we're still interpreting them today. This has been a journey through mythology, but really, it's a journey through how the Egyptians understood the world. And trust me, there's much more beneath the surface. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this episode, there's plenty more coming. New stories, deeper analysis, and a continuing look into the lives and ideas of the world. If you want to follow the series as it grows, subscribe and turn on notifications. It helps the channel and it ensures you don't miss the next chapter. Until then, thanks again for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.